Talofa Ignatius. It's really nice to meet you. Finally, we get to have a call with you. Introduce yourself to us, and yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you and your team, of course, for allowing me to participate in this space and to allow me the chance to share my message about where I come from and who I am. And to all of those who are viewing this, I understand that this will be broadcast at a later time. I like to say a warm Hafa day to all of you viewing, and hello from Saipan, CNMI. My name is Ignacio, and I am very happy to be here and sharing my message with all of you who are viewing this. And so I wanted to take this time to share about my beautiful home in Saipan and explain some cultural aspects and some quick facts about my home. And then I will be sharing some words that I feel are meaningful and how I will explain why they are meaningful to me. And so you are seeing my PowerPoint, and I'm on a virtual background. This is one of the tricks of Zoom that I really love. What you see here is our official seal, and so this is what represents our home. We have the moir, and then we have the Lati stone, and the blue, which represents ocean, and then the star. Yes. And so, quick facts about the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. So we are comprised of 14 islands. We are an archipelago, and we have this all of these wonderful islands that each have a cool thing about each of them. So where I live in Saipan is on the southern part. Saipan, Tinian, and Rota are the three islands that are the most inhabited. So that's where most of our people live. The northern islands, though, there are a couple that do have like a small group living there, but the rest are, for the most part, no one is living there. But yes, we're very proud of all of our 14 islands. And we are a proud U.S. Commonwealth. We are a U.S. soil, and so anyone who is born here is born a U.S. citizen. But I want to bring your viewers down here to the flags. I'm going to explain a little fun fact about where we have come from. The CNMI was administered by other countries in the past. So from around 1500s to the late 1800s, we were colonized by Spain. So we went from saying hola, and then around after the Spanish-American War in 1898, we were then sold by Spain to Germany. So then we said Guten Morgen. And then at the onset of World War II, we were then annexed by Japan. So then our people said konnichiwa. And then after World War II, then that's when we were colonized by the United States. And in 1976, we officially joined the American family as a Commonwealth. So again, we went from saying hola, guten morgen, konnichiwa, and hey girl, hey, with the USA, of course. And yeah, and so we've been going through different things. And as I go on in my speech, a lot of what we have now in terms of our culture, our language, and what we have present here, we took pieces of each of these countries that have administered us in our present day. And I'll explain more about that. Or rather, a lot of our last names are Spanish-based, like my name, Dela Cruz. That's a very Spanish name, meaning of the cross. We have some people here with Japanese last names and German last names, and then of course the typical Chamorro names. And fact number 3, we are known as America's best kept secret. Now, why that is? It's because not many people in the U.S. mainland know that we even exist. So as I explained, I work virtually with students in the U.S. mainland. And when I said, oh, I'm from a place called Saipan, I would get these looks. Wow, you're from Spain? And I said, no, I'm from Saipan, not Spain. And then there was this one colleague of mine said, hey, how is life in Singapore? And I said, how would I know? I've never lived there. And then she asked me, wait, aren't you from Singapore? And I said, no, I'm from Saipan. And so I found that interesting that, you know, we've been part of the US for a certain amount of years, but yeah, we're not very well known. But I found every time I'm asked that, or it's been assumed that I live in a certain place, I take that not as an offense, but as an opportunity to teach, to share, like what I'm doing now with those around me, so that I can teach them, not to be offended, but to teach them that this is who I am, this is where I come from. And you know, if you would like to come visit us, please do. It is a very beautiful place, and we are very welcoming here. And one of the facts that I love about our home is that we are beautifully diverse, not just in nature, but in the people. We have a mixture of people from all walks of life. And it's great to see that, because that's what makes our home colorful. It's what makes our home wonderful, that we have all of these diverse people who come here, who want to live here, who want to contribute here. And I myself, I come from a biracial background. My mom is from the Philippines, and my dad is a Chamorro man from here. And so I am proud of both sides, and I learn from both sides. And then I also learn about my friends who come from other cultural backgrounds. I learn from them every time I want to learn about something. I would ask them, like, how would you do this in your culture? How would you express this? You know, those sort of things. So that way I get to not only learn about my cultures, but, you know, those around me as well. So I'm going to present two cultural aspects that I love, among the many, of course, but for the interest of time, I will explain the two that I really love. I don't know if anyone knows this, but I love food. I mean, who doesn't, right? This is why I'm glad you are all seeing me on Zoom, because you're not going to see my really big stomach and waistline. So it's a good thing you're seeing me from the chest up, because then you won't see how big I am. Because I love food. And as I said in my previous slide, that we have taken pieces of the different administrations that have overseen the CNMI. We've taken bits and pieces from each of them and incorporated that in our culture. You know, for example, the empanada, which, you know, was a food influenced by the Spanish. And then we have the tempura, of course, which was influenced by Japan, and I think even Portugal. You know, it came along that way. And then we have the pickled food, pickled eggs and pickled veggies. Yum yum yum. And then lumpia, of course. You know, again with the Asian in the influence. And then we have chicken calaguin. Please forgive me, I'm not sure the exact story of the chicken calaguin, but I just put it there because it made me want to eat. So that's why I put all of these food here, because I made myself hungry. And then the other cultural aspect that I'm truly proud of is our dances and our music. I love to dance, and my YPL friends will know from our time at the conference that I love to dance and I love music. And it is most apparent when Christmas time comes, because that's when we sing our Chamorro Christmas songs, and then, you know, we get to have our family gatherings, and we do our traditions. You know, and throughout the year too, there are other events that we have here, that we show our traditional songs and dances. And to me, like, it's my way of visually seeing the culture alive and well. You know, of course, we have our books, we have our pictures, of course, but for me, seeing it through dancing, hearing it through song, it's the culture to me alive, coming alive in front of me. And so I'm someone who likes to learn visually, and so that's my way of really appreciating and loving our culture. And so yeah, I love I tried to sing along with the songs, but unfortunately, I'm not proficient in the Chamorro language. I grew up speaking in English, but I tried to learn. I believe that one of the being multilingual is is a wonderful thing, and if I could, I often said that if I could have a super ability, a superpower, it wouldn't be to fly. It wouldn't be to have X-ray vision. It wouldn't be to walk through walls. If I had the chance to get a superpower, it'd be to speak every language in the world. Just because then I can communicate with anyone and everyone. And so that's that's what I would like. But dance and music, it helps me visualize the culture, but at the same time learn the words. And speaking of words, the two words that I find very meaningful, among, of course, all the other meaningful words that are present in the Chamorro language. But these are two words that I particularly want to talk about. So the first one is called Tau. Now, there is this sort of belief that it's mainly describes like the spirits and like spirits in nature. But the literal translation of Tautomona is the people who have come before us. So the people who have lived and died and who have gone on. Why I chose this, because I believe in respecting the traditions and the stories that have been told by the people before us. And I know this is the same for all throughout Pacifica, where the stories that have been passed down from one generation to the next is very important, because that's how we keep our culture alive. So this other word is called fofona, which translates to moving forward. So I'm someone who likes to look ahead. For anyone who knows me, I like to couple years ahead, what I would like to do next. When I finish my my master's and I did all that and I got all that done, I start to think, okay, what comes next? This is not the end. Life is this grand adventure that we all go through. So what comes next in the chapter that is my life? And so the reason why I chose these two words is because we don't forget the past and who has come before us and what they taught us. But at the same time, we need to look ahead. What comes next, not just for our home, but really the world. And the world has changed a lot, not just in the past 10 years, but in the past 5 years. How can we move ahead into the future so that way our children can continue to grow, continue to elevate themselves? And then what can we do to bring Pacific future that, yes, we will adapt to change. We will adapt to the world around us. We are resilient people. One thing I admire, not just in the cinema, but all throughout the Pacific, that we may be what some people describe as tiny dots on a world map. Yes, that may be true, that we are, when you look at the world map, we are dots, great and powerful impacts through our practices, through our education, through what we teach, what we convey to the world. And it just amazes me every time I hear the success stories of people from throughout Pacific. They're making big strides in their home and abroad. And that's my hope for myself too, that even though I am this small island boy from Saipan, that at least I can try and make a positive and big impact that I can in whatever space that I choose to go in, whether it is in speech pathology, the education field, or whatever field that comes next for me. And so, always looking ahead. I recall that during our time in YPL 2019, when we had our big group sessions, we always talked about what can we do as young professionals to make sure that we get the word out, we get our words out, to bring awareness about the concerns and the issues that we face. How can we get that? And I'm so proud to see that our YPL classmates have even gone to obtain their PhDs, to give speeches at the UN. That's a big deal, because now you're bringing the concerns, the strengths, and the issues of the Pacific to the forefront, where all of these world leaders are now listening, and wow, we do something, help each other out. And in recent news, with all of the geopolitical concerns that are happening now in our part of the world, it is scary to think about, because we haven't seen this much tension, at least as far as I know, as far as my education is concerned, since World War II, where the Pacific has now become this heavily like fought after space, and we hear it in the news a lot. And it is scary to think about that we are these small islands in this vast blue continent, and then you have all these superpowers wanting to inch their way in. And so if I may say, I'm very proud of the fact that the CNMI is watched over by states, and that actions are being done to protect our home. And so it's something for all of us to think about. And then now, what do we do now moving forward? And thinking about what lies ahead for us as a people, but at the same time, again, preserving who we are. Yeah. And so that's basically what I have.
What are the challenges in the modern or contemporary society that your generation, Ignacio, is facing now? And you will have to address that, passing it on to your child. And how does the lessons from your parents or your grandparents' time help you to manage that currently? So if we could learn from you, understanding that we have very big influential powers that, like United States, they have a very strong influences in your country. And for us, other countries who have just arrived at that stage, Ignacio, if I could learn from you and I could do that to my child in PNG, and they could pass it on.
Thank you very much for that, for the wonderful questions and the great insight. And so the first one, the challenges that I face in my generation now is that many people start to forget not just the local language, but really the practices. We have this practice called fanini, where we it's sort of like bow, where we take our elder's hand and we put it to our forehead. And so I still do it because I feel that that's my way, a very important way to show respect to those who are of course older than I am. But at the same time, I don't really see it with the younger kids, or they have to be told each time. So those sort of things I feel are a challenge, because we have all of these tech and all of these influences. And so it is true that we've lost part of our culture. And but thinking positively on the other side of the coin, using the technology that we have to preserve those aspects. Like I see now in Guam, they have videos about Chamorro practices. I've seen interviews and news segments that preserve those sort of things, that discuss those sort of things. And so by using the tools that we have, yes, the technology tools that we have now did play a part in diminishing some part of our cultural background, but I believe that we can use it also to preserve it. So there's two sides to everything. And what I would do if I were blessed enough to have kids in the future, simply by telling those stories, the same stories that our parents told us, right? Because how else were our ancestors able to pass down those stories without Facebook, without YouTube, without Netflix, all stuff that I love, by the way, using just the power of words, power of communicating. That's how we can preserve, and then using the tools now to make sure that it's in hard copy or stored on the cloud, so that way future generations will be able to access that and say, oh, this is what our great grandparents did in the year 2022 or 2023. There was this one legislature session that was held here about the military buildup, and there was one woman who had said, we don't know what our ancestors want. We don't know whether or not they don't want, you know, the buildup or, you know, more development. Now, if I were there and I could respond to her, I would say, you are correct. We don't know the minds of our ancestors. We don't know what they were individually thinking, but in today's world, with the technology that we have, with the tools that we have, we can now document what our thoughts are, what our opinions are. So that way down the line, our future kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-grand, and preserve that, you know. And so that's one of the best ways. And so, you know, I'm sure there's more, but I'm a huge fan of tech. I'm a techie guy. So that's thinking along the lines of tech. And really, the world has become so interconnected with the internet, with the web. I mean, look at us now. Who would have thought in our parents' time that people would be able to communicate and being in different places around the world, but yet being able to talk in the same space in real time? I'm sure our parents would have never thought that was possible. But yet here we are in different parts of the globe, but yet talking in real time. You know, I think it's great. I think the future is bright, but we have to light the torch. We have to light the way for the future to become bright. Yes, I hold that the future is bright, but it's up to us to light the torch, light the flame, so that we can light our way into the future. And that's why we need to teach our young kids now, that it's up to you now to take that mantle and that flame as we go, as our flames die out. You know, I hope that when we're older, when we're old and our flames die out, you know, but I hope that the next generation will light their flames up and go and light the way.
Thank you, Ignacio.
Thank
It was
you.
really inspirational, very energetic, full of hope. And maybe I should say, let's light the flame.